there. What an honor it is to introduce a longtime friend and colleague, María Pilar Aquino. So I'm going to do the formal introduction, and then I'll do the informal introduction. María Pilar Aquino is Professor of Theology and Religious Studies at the University of San Diego. She's a Latin American liberation theologian, internationally renowned for her pioneering work in Latin American and U.S. Latina feminism. She is a founding member and first woman president of the Academy of Catholic Hispanic Theologians of the United States, or ACTUS, and that's where I first met María Pilar. She is also an honorary founding member of the Mexican Association of Feminist Theological Reflection. She currently serves on the editorial and advisory boards of international theological journals and is a member of the International Advisory Committee on the World Forum on Theology and Liberation, which is part of the World Social Forum. Aquino has been invited to lecture at prominent universities in more than 20 countries around the world and is recognized for her sustained support of women's theological education. Her research and scholarly works are infused by a concern about the contribution of religions and theologies to promote social justice, human rights, peace building, and constructive transformation. So that's the formal introduction. The informal introduction. I've known María Pilar Aquino for more than 15 years now, and the thing that sticks with me most about Pilar, as we affectionately call her, is her passion. Her passion for justice. In the 15 plus years since I've known her, I've seen her in action. She has a passion to always stand for and accompany the least of these, whoever they may be, women, poor people, minorities in the United States. She has a passion, and really quite a powerful passion, to speak truth to power. She is not afraid to speak up. And she has a passion to work with institutions, within institutions, to transform the world. So with that, it is an honor and a privilege to call up here María Pilar Aquino.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Chris. I am honored, really, to share with you this morning perspectives on the sources and future of liberation theology in light of the legacy of Don Hélder Câmara. I would like to do something this morning, and I thought that while I speak, I would like to show you pictures. So I'm hoping that this is not a distraction, but rather reinforcing of the presentation that I will be making to you. The images you're going to see are the images of the gathering last year in Tunisia, of the World Forum Theology and Liberation. So you're going to see pictures in no particular order, and I did that on purpose. I'm not good, first of all, I'm not good at doing PowerPoint, but I thought I did this last night, so I just wanted to share with you images so you can see the theologians really interacting with the world social movements. Okay? Later, at the end of my presentation, I will share with you a slide, the third slide there. I will show it to you more in detail, okay? Explaining what is the World Forum Theology and Liberation and the tasks that we do when we get together. Okay? Very good. Let me see here. Okay. I want to begin with a quote from Don Hélder Câmara's Spiral of Violence. I know that we have all a world in common, even if you disagree with me and consider me a dreamer and a fool. End of quote. A shared premise among liberation theologians is that production of theological knowledge is aimed at supporting practices of constructive transformation for advancing just social systems and relationships. From within limitations inherent to the human condition, practitioners of this theology seek to both provide a religious response and add a contribution to processes that intend transformation and eradication of the root causes of social injustice. The intervention of religious actors in those processes bring to light how one's resolve to build a world reconciled through justice and peace properly emulates the very being of God as a God of life, justice, and liberation. Theological reflection grounded on the practices of the global social and religious movements working for human dignity, human rights, peace, and sustainable communities produces ways of understanding infused by a deep hope in humanity and a deep hope in God's promises. For Christians, hope in a renewed humanity and creation, as inaugurated by the life, death, and glorious resurrection of Jesus Christ, is a religious conviction that motivates work and provides fortitude in the face of adversity. As expressed in the motto, quote, "Another world is possible," end of quote, hope becomes embodied by a myriad of social and religious actors whose commitment to justice not only keeps alive visions of liberation, but also affirms the presence and action of God in our midst. Faith-based practices of constructive transformation seeking to actualize opportunities for another possible world based on justice as condition for peace clearly communicates to the world that the current circumstances of social injustice are incompatible with God's purpose for the world and humanity. Those practices also reveal that such circumstances are not historically inevitable and that engagement for constructive transformation is the most proper way to show concern for the fate of the world. On the Christians' concern for the world, Hélder Câmara writes as follows, quote, "I know that we have all a world in common, even if you disagree with me and consider me a dreamer and a fool," end of quote. Even if remotely or falsely considered as a dreamer and a fool, through his concern for the world, with a focus on justice for the impoverished and oppressed humanity, Hélder has become an icon of hope, an artificer of justice, and an architect of liberation. In putting together my notes for this event, my mind produced recurring sentiments that took me beyond the initial proposed topic for this session on the major contribution of liberation theology in the 21st century. Reflection about the legacy of Hélder Câmara for the sources and the future of liberation theology persistently brought to my mind sentiments of gratitude. Giving attention to this sentiment, I embraced gratitude as a theological response to the central theme for this event. In my understanding, a framework of gratitude does not obscure thought about the major contribution of liberation theology for the current century, but rather thought about the legacy of Hélder come to enhance them. I am grateful to the organizers of this event for inviting me to participate. I am both honored and humbled by the opportunity to share reflections with such a group of distinguished scholars from Brazil and other parts of the world. I am grateful to you all for allowing me to continue learning from you as we explore together new perspectives on the conference theme. Next, I am presenting a brief approach to two concepts that I believe shed light on the event that brings us together. These concepts are gratitude and justice. I must say that the pictures that you are looking at, I took the pictures myself, okay? So they are not stolen from anywhere. Those are my pictures. On gratitude. Why exploration on the sources and future of liberation theology in light of the legacy of Don Hélder Câmara deserves gratitude? In Christian theology, the term gratitude occupies a minimal or no place at all in dictionaries of theology. I bet to you that if you look for the term gratitude on any dictionary of Catholic theology, you're not going to find it. Compared with extensive studies on the term grace, gratitude has been minimized as an emotion or as a simple attitude inherent to human existence. Often, gratitude has been relegated to the arena of spirituality, in which it has been treated as a particular virtue characteristic of the relationship between the faith-based individual and God. This term has a wide semantic field, commonly linked to the attitude of gratefulness and the action of giving thanks. As a term, gratitude has its roots in the Latin gratus and gratitude, which serve to name appreciation. The biblical Greek gratitude also belongs to the family of terms used to express thankfulness for blessings or benefits received, such as eucharisteo, or to express appreciation or being thankful, such as eucharistos. To grant a grace or to show a favorite attitude towards something or someone, or to express goodwill, such as charis. To name a gift given freely and generously, such as charisma. And of course, the term gratitude is also related to the term Eucharistia, which means Thanksgiving, Eucharist. Possibly, the emphasis that Christian theology has given to the term grace and Eucharist has led to decreased attention to the term gratitude and to limited interpretation of its meaning. In the Christian theological tradition, God is the source of all life, and from whom all grace emanates. In its fragile and contingent existence, the human person recognizes God's gift and answers to it through thankfulness. Thus, God is presented as the object of human gratitude and also as the subject of a relationship that originates attitudes of gratitude and appreciation. Patriarchal Christian theology, however, has used gratefulness for instilling attitudes of obedience and submission, as it teaches the duty that persons have to show gratitude towards the established social or religious authorities, regardless of their work for the common good. The excessively liturgical confinement that patriarchal theology does of gratitude, together with its association to obedience and submission, exposes major limitations of this theology to offer a more inclusive and liberating interpretation of gratitude. The global development of liberation theology as a religious response to the cry of the poor and oppressed, and as a call to embrace together, work for just social systems and relationships, offer possibilities for new interpretations. Gratitude, as I understand it here, adopts an estimative sense rather than a liturgical sense. In its estimative sense, gratitude refers to the appreciation and benevolent value in itself that a person confers to situations, people, events, or things. It is an expression in act or an attitude of appreciation that the person attributes to something or someone in recognition of the importance and meaning found for one's life. In this sense, gratitude is not understood in instrumental or utilitarian ways. Gratitude may be motivated by experiences of joy and also by experiences of victory over adversity or misfortune. Contemporary approaches in the field of psychological studies indicate that gratitude has been defined as a positive emotional reaction in response to a good or benefit received. It has also been defined as a moral virtue, an attitude, an emotion, a habit, a personality trait, a dispositional property, and as a mechanism of response to lived experiences. Gratitude emerges as affirmative reaction to that which has been accomplished, to that which has been received, or to that which the person appreciates per se, and it is communicated through gratefulness. Those studies also indicate that gratitude often helps to strengthen one's sense of appreciation, one's sense of self-esteem, one's orientation towards relationality, greater awareness of interdependence, and a greater willingness to have an intervention for transformation of adverse personal and social circumstances. In light of this meaning of gratitude, I wish to highlight the relevance and merit of Dom Hélder's contribution to the theological practices of liberation today. According to Dom Hélder, no one is born to be a slave or to suffer injustices and humiliation, but to live in a world where justice and peace flourish. His vision and practice of a church immersed in civil society to promote human dignity and to provide support to the struggles for participatory democracy and human rights remain relevant for contemporary social movements for change. This fact in itself deserves immense gratitude. We need to keep alive voices like that. The affirmation of gratitude implies at least two things. First, the necessity of keeping alive an attitude of public denunciation of any disciplinary practice that maintain an unbalanced and violent world. Second, the recognition that gratitude as a human quality, as a dispositional human characteristic, or as a moral virtue is not exclusive of the Christian community. In a cosmopolitan fashion, gratitude grows there where men and women of all cultures and religions share common practices in the interest of a just, dignified, and respectful convivencia, living together, the work of all of us for building a world in which we all have a place. Therefore, because the legacy of Dom Hélder allows one to contemplate a different world of justice as a possible world, his presence and memory generate immense gratefulness and gratitude. Let me move on to the term justice. Clearly expressed in his writings, Don Hélder persisted working, quote, for a more united and humane world, end of quote. That expression appears constantly. His writing, the work for a more united and humane world. Through his word and action, he firmly took the side of those social groups struggling for, again, a more just and humane world. Being immersed in a context where social injustice is so pervasive, for him, quote, action for justice and peace is self-explanatory. Its aims are announced in its name. Action means not just speculation, theory, discussion, contemplation. Justice. There are injustices everywhere. Everywhere there is a need for justice. Peace. Justice is the condition for peace, the path, the way. It is only through justice that a true and lasting peace will be achieved. All those who all over the world hunger and thirst after justice are invited to march together. End of quote. Having in mind the legacy of Don Hélder for liberation theology today, I can only conclude that the pervasiveness and depth of social injustice continues to demand from religious actors an active commitment to justice and peace building. A developed sense of goodwill and mercy are helpful qualities, but still insufficient to meet the challenges of worldwide poverty, militarism, and human insecurity. While the forces of capitalist globalization have orchestrated potent strategies for giving shape to the current oligopoly market system in the interest of financial corporations and wealthy social groups, the forces of the religions of the world, comprised of actors and resources, also need stronger intervention for advancing constructive transformation in the interest of social justice and liberation. For religious actors motivated by religious traditions based on liberation, work for justice and peace entail self-understanding as interdependent communities that share common values and goals for a more just and humane world. The call of Don Hélder is quite cosmopolitan. His thought was so open to humans beyond religion. In his writings, he addresses issues of race, ethnicity, social class. So we have a world together. We share a common world. The task of peace and justice belong to all. More than an individual option, an isolated virtue, or an abstract notion, justice is understood theologically as a life-giving reality that both sustains the flourishing of humans in creation and actualizes the very being of God as a God of life and liberation. The practice of justice belongs to the core of religions as a way of being in the world to enable holiness and the well-being of all. In the words of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, quote, religions have the potential to strengthen human values and to develop general harmony, end of quote. And they foster compassion, forgiveness, self-discipline, solidarity, charity, and peace. While the Jewish tradition asserts that justice belongs to the nature of God and provides the grounds of creation, the Christian tradition affirms justice as a constitutive of the gospel's message. And in that, the most direct reference is the well-known document of the Synod of Justice in 1971, in which strongly asserts that justice belongs to the, is a constitutive element of the gospel. Without justice, no gospel can exist. From the Islamic tradition, liberation scholar Ashgar Ali Engineer has widely asserted that justice is greatly stressed in Quranic sacred texts and traditions in comprehensive and rigorous ways. In the Hindu tradition of Mahatma Gandhi, social justice is both a truthful cause and a societal program to be pursued by means of the transformative power of satyagraha, truth force, and ahimsa, a definite resolve not to hurt a living being. The religious understanding of justice also supports firmly strategic mobilization against social injustice. In the Christian tradition, social justice is incompatible with God's reign as it embodies sinful structures and relationships. According to Nelson Piletti, a prominent historian of Dom Hélder, the greatest religious legacy of Dom Hélder is his teaching that religious faith, on the one hand, is incompatible with injustice and humiliation against people. On the other, it can also liberate people from fanatism and intolerance. Issues of justice and peace, in the words of the Dalai Lama, concern the whole of humanity, not just one country or religion, end of quote. For the advancement of social systems and relationships, religious actors face the imperative of supporting processes that pursue such goals. Religious actors from different contexts must work with understanding of cooperation, relationality, and interdependence in the interest of constructive transformation. Today's global context of social injustice calls for response from religions in proactive ways. As a dynamic process that accepts religious pluralism and involves a multiplicity of actors, work for justice and peace also demands a shared articulation of visions, values, and goals, and the resources of religions for transformative thought and practice. Religious systems affirm justice and peace as shared values that are regarded as universal. For faith-based actors, however, the disclosure of justice is to be found in conduct and behavior as manifestations of faithfulness to God. From a religious point of view, social systems and relationships are to promote environments for people to develop and thrive in consistency with their intrinsic dignity as created in God's image and likeness. The presence and action of God are tangible there, where humanity and the world flourish in justice and peace. According to Lisa Serge, an expert in peace building from the Mennonite tradition, quote, justice exists when people are able to participate in shaping their environment so that they can meet their basic needs. Justice exists when people respect human rights of others and when there are processes in place for holding people who violate the rights of others accountable to the victims and to that wider community, end of quote. In this light, I suggested that for religious actors to meet the challenges of the current unjust world, approaches to justice for liberation demands the reconstruction and renewal of thought as promoted by liberation theology in its understanding of transformative praxis. It also requires a critical appreciation of past insight and experience, systemic analysis of the present, and creative strategizing for mapping a course of action into the future. Sometimes I believe that we, the Christians, are missing something, because seldom we find in diocesan programs or at university level graduate studies, seldom find that students are provided with analytical tools to see, well, what is happening in today's world, how to approach things critically. There is no approach, there is not one course that in master's or BA in theology and religious studies to see methods of analysis, tools for critical analysis. In the past, in my times, I studied theology in 1976, 1977 in the context of Mexico. In those years, we were exposed to that, maybe because we grew up in the context of the newly emerging liberation theology, so we were very much, we had to study social analysis. It was part of our education in those years. The U.S., I don't see something like that. So of course, those who graduate from theology are missing something. They miss having an analytical thought. So being grateful for past achievements and hopeful for another possible world of justice and peace, religious actors understand that ultimately, thought and practices for liberation are more than a moral imperative or a strategy. Thought and practice for liberation is also a spirituality that seeks to correspond to God's gift of grace and hope. So to conclude, I would like to share with you more details about the experiences of a dynamic theological movement that today, I believe, embodies in different ways the legacy of Don Hélder Câmara, and that is the experience of the World Forum on Theology and Liberation, as you see the images here. So for today, I believe that there are some theological societies that keep alive those values, those visions, that passion for transformation, following in the footsteps of Don Hélder. One of those, I have said that privately and publicly, one of those theological societies is SOTER, the Society of Theological Study in the Sciences of Religion. SOTER, the Brazilian Theological Society, that is one of the founders of SOTER are here, colleagues from. And also, one of the founders of the World Forum is Professor Paulo Fernando Carneiro. He's one of the founders of the forum. So we are so lucky and blessed to have the presence of pioneers in doing this work. So that is one of the theological societies that if you go to internet, Google SOTER, and look at the themes addressed by the society year after year, you will see that those are the themes that we need to think about. Those are the most relevant themes to address: peace, sustainability, education for citizenship, all kinds of topics that fit very well with the concerns of those engaged in social transformation. So that is absolutely beautiful. Comparing the topics addressed here by the CTSA or the AAR, you will find a great, and Artus spends his time talking about irrelevant. I don't know. I don't agree very much with the thematic approaches of and then look at the AAR, that's the religion of capitalism, in my view. The market, the market religion, the AAR, and CTSA, same thing. It is so, there's nothing organic, nothing articulated. So they organizes topics according to the demands of historical reality in response to the demands of historical reality. And then every year there's a publication that comes out of that. So I think that it's a good thing to keep in mind. Another one is just what Chris mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, the foundation of the association for the Oh, no. I'm thinking in Spanish language. I want to translate the term. It's the Mexican Association for Feminist Theological Reflection. To have a Mexican Association of Feminist Theology is really, really a big step. Big step. Having the women theologians coming together in have a society as a registered as a civil association. You know, so that is very significant for the advancement of thought in the Mexican context that's been so patriarchal. So it's a very significant step. And then this society is so, the World Forum Theology and Liberation is so dynamic and so imbued with the concerns of the social movements today. And let me, there's one slide. This is the meetings that we have internal to the forum. And then we have meetings with the world organizations. Let me stop this and go back to one slide in particular. How do I go to one slide? Yes, I did this last night, so and I never do PowerPoint, so I just went, yeah, the second one. I just wanted to share the third one, this one. Okay, so for last year, yeah, thank you so much. On the World Forum, so this is a very tiny, all over Tunis you will see banners like this in all languages, all over Tunis, the streets of Tunis. For me, it was a matter of breathing again the air of freedom, breathing again the air of liberation, commitment, change, by the thousands of people filling up the city. So, World Social Forum was born in the context of the World Social Forum. What is the World Social Forum? The World Social Forum is the largest global movement that gathers organizations of civil society, human rights activists, and students and educators, intellectuals, activists from all continents. With the motto, "Another world is possible," the World Social Forum promotes values, deliberation, and collective action for social and environmental justice, constructive transformation, and peace building. The World Social Forum was born in the year 2001 in Porto Alegre, Brazil. So the World Social Forum is a world vision. It's a movement, but it's also a world vision that Brazil, once again, offers to the world. So rooted in those experiences, today, the World Social Forum is a worldwide movement that has been appropriated by social movements for change. So World Social Forum in 2013, the main topic was on dignity. So you will see the whole city, Tunis, with banners, flags, posters. Everyone concerned about human dignity came together there. The meeting took place at the University of El Manar, National University in Tunis. So in solidarity with the Tunisian social movements that gave birth to the Arab Spring, the World Social Forum met at El Manar University campus. More than 3,500 international organizations focused discussion and strategic action on the theme dignity. So the World Social Forum was born within the Forum Theology and Liberation was born within the World Social Forum in the year 2003. It seeks to both support critical reflection grounded on the transformative practices of social movements and promotes the purpose and values of the World Social Forum. So the World Forum Theology and Liberation is in communication, in dialogue, in connection with the World Social Forum. So the topics addressed by the World Forum Theology and Liberation are connected with the concerns of the World Social Forum. So that is the purpose, the goal of the existence of the World Forum Theology and Liberation. So, for example, 2013, we formed thematic working groups around the topics religion, politics, and location, gender, feminism, and democracy, and peace and religious solidarity. So the World Social Forum It has its own meetings, self-managed activities, topics such as liberation today, theological implications, and dialogue on religions and civilizations. We also, the members of the forum, also spread around the forum. So we go to different workshops and participate with other people, namely the theologians are very much at the heart of the panels, the groups that meet in their own, out of let's say 500 themes, we engage with the themes of the social movements around the world. Collaborative activities, for example, Europe in Crisis, Women in Interreligious Dialogue, Islamic Feminism, and Dialogue Christianity Islam. We also do collaborations with the local society. For example, some of us are invited to present topics, panels, conferences with organizations of the city, whatever the city will be. In that particular case, it was Tunis. So with Tunis, we participated at the Cervantes Institute of the Embassy of Spain in Tunisia. So this is the panel, and the topic was on religious dialogue in coexistence. In that context, Susin, Tamayo, Juan Jose Tamayo, myself were present at that panel. And then, so we make, this is the group, this is the delegation. So I am encouraging very much Professor Chris Juris. He's one of our few liberation theologians in the US. So he's a source of hope for many of us because we don't have many young theologians who adopt, endorse, and are consistent with the values and frameworks and goals of liberation theology. He's one of the few. So I am encouraging him to become a part. So I'm hoping that the Pope really supports Chris in his desire to become a part of our group on the World Forum Theology and Liberation. And of course, invitation is open to all of you. So please take that into consideration and connect with the World Forum. Let me stop right there.
We have about 10 minutes for any questions that you may have. The only thing that we ask is that you come up to the mic because the event is being recorded, so we want to make sure that the question is recorded. I'll give you a few seconds to sit. I know that there's bound to be some questions, how to formulate them. So feel free to step
Also
up.
questions about the pictures and about the forum.
Anything you have?
I have a question about the picture. No,
I'm struck by the word civil society in here, and it reminds me of something from Marquez's paper yesterday, where Hélder, at the kind of second stage of his career, was very much interested in the church and the state kind of working together for these development goals. And then in the third stage of his career, he became very disillusioned with this and said that when the church kind of hooks its car to the state car, it ends up just being this kind of pseudo-order, this sort of disorder. And I'm wondering, there seems to be, in liberation thought, there seems to be a lot of critiques of corporations. There seems to be a lot of kind of emphasis on civil society and so on. I'm wondering if there's kind of structural analysis of the state as such that goes on still today, or not. I mean, that's part of the question. You were kind of stressing this, the importance of social analysis, and I'm wondering if within the liberation paradigm there's kind of critique of the state in the spirit of Don Hélder in this way, and if so, if you could comment.
Possibly, the best person to answer that question, the person who have wiser insight, will be Monsignor Pinedo, Father Pinedo, because that is what he does. He may have better responses. All I can say, it would be wonderful if we hear from him what his thoughts are about that. He's rightly positioned, the core of that question. All I can say is that for liberation theology, we need to rethink the issue of the relationship, civil society and state, and the contribution of religion in light of the emerging social movements for change, and that is from the Arab Spring to the umbrella movement. That is Hong Kong. It is being called the umbrella movement. So Brazil also has tremendous experience in that. How members, leaders of civil society are occupying positions in state institutions for the promotion of justice. Tunisia, the democratic processes. Also, there is one person here in one of the pictures who was very much working with us, Laila. I don't know if I can find her here in the pictures. Laila was working with the forum while we were there. We will work with her again, this coming year. The next forum is 2015, again in Tunisia. So she's running now for the, Tunisia is considered to be a model for democratic transitions in the Arab world. So that's important. That's why the World Social Forum in Tunisia is so crucial. So the point is that in those democratic processes for change, there are people from civil society working in the elections process for occupying office. So I think that the processes are taking place in terms of democratization processes are demanding from theologians to rethink responses to that issue. So I don't know if Monsignor would like to see something in this regard.
Falar em português.
I'm speaking Portuguese.
A tradução. Em primeiro lugar, meus cumprimentos a todos.
First of all, I congratulate everyone.
De fato, eu trabalhei durante 19 anos
I
com
worked
o
for 9
Câmara.
years with another Câmara.
Agora, o forte da posição de Dom Hélder
And his
nos últimos anos era em período de ditadura militar.
And the strongest part of his position in the latest years was against the military dictatorship.
E foi um momento em que no Brasil a sociedade civil teve uma atuação mais forte.
And then that was a moment in Brazil where the civil society has the strongest impact.
É interessante perceber que esses movimentos sociais cresceram combatendo a ditadura.
And it's really interesting to realize that these social movements, they grew against dictatorship.
Inclusive os movimentos de pastoral social das igrejas.
And also the pastoral work of the different churches, they grew in that sense.
À medida em que a ditadura foi sendo superada pela democracia,
The more that the dictatorship was being outgrown by democracy,
houve uma crise dos movimentos sociais.
there was this crisis of the social movements.
Seja porque eles chegaram ao poder,
Either because they had got to power,
seja porque foram cooptados pelo poder
or
de esquerda.
because they were taken by the left power.
Há um esforço muito grande no momento, no Brasil,
There's
de
a,
recuperar
there's a
os
huge
movimentos sociais.
there's a huge commitment right now in Brazil to regain these social movements.
Inclusive, nesse período eleitoral, As eleições serão amanhã.
And tomorrow there will be elections in Brazil, so exactly at this electoral moment in
Há
Brazil,
uma tentativa de recuperar o Partido dos
we
Trabalhadores.
are trying to get back the party of the workers.
Embora estejamos vivendo um momento de muito conflito, de muita
There
tensão,
is a huge moment of conflict and of tension in Brazil right now.
e os movimentos sociais se sentem um pouco frustrados
And all the social movements are a little frustrated
com o estilo de democracia
with the democratic
que os grupos de
style
esquerda, ao
that the
subir ao
left,
poder,
who are in power right now,
tomaram nova direção diferente das promessas.
they are taking a direction that is very different from what they promised.
Eu acho que em princípio seria isso.
And I think that's just to say a few words.
Yeah.
I have a question about the pictures. Can you move to the picture where there is this constant group that is with you? Because there is
Let
a
me,
group that is, you are always together. And I think it's important to know who are those people, no? I recognize two of them, but well,
this
there are more. Could be. Well, I recognize Susie, who is our
Oh.
companion in
Yes.
Concilium. I recognize Luisa Tomita,
Yes.
a feminist theologian besides you.
Yes.
Luisa Tomita Pilar, she's a feminist theologian from São Paulo. But I don't know the others.
Luisa.
This tall gentleman here that appears in every single
This one?
photo. Yes.
He is the secretary of the World Forum, Theology and Liberation.
Ah, okay.
Porto Alegre, Claudio.
Claudio. Ah, okay.
Claudio Becker.
And always
Porto
besides
Alegre.
Suzine, behind Suzine, no, at the
This-
right hand, this, Enrico Ramos.
Enrico.
Yeah.
Sí,
He's a
theologian.
very good theologian,
Very
brilliant
good.
theologian.
He was the head of the peace, the religion and peace building group last year at the forum. Great thinker, yeah.
And Tamayo, where's Tamayo?
Tamayo, he's not here, but
And-
Tamayo
yeah.
appears in the other
Spanish
pictures.
theologian,
Yeah, yeah.
And this one with the beard, besides Suzine, behind Suzine.
This one,
Lee
he is from Canada, the University of
Lee
Montreal. See, he and Denise Couture, Denise Couture in here, they coordinate the World Forum, in Canada, in Montreal. And they are proposing that the forum takes place, they are willing there to organize everything for the World Forum next time. They are inviting people to have the forum in Canada. So these two are highly committed. His wife published a book on the World Forum, theology, on the World Social Forum.
Yeah, because I think it's important to know these faces and those new
Oh.
names, those people who are, you know?
See, Suzine, Luis Carlos Suzine is the president of the World Forum, Theology and Liberation, highly respected in Brazil, a wonderful thinker, and of course he works, I work with him, but he works with María Clara at the International Journal Concilium.
And with Danny Pilar, who's here.
Oh,
Danny
of course,
is
Hilario.
Concilium too.
Very much so, very much. So, Suzine, a wonderful Franciscan professor of theology at the, Franciscan, Marileda Baggio, Luisa.
Where is she from? Marileda?
I don't remember. And this one here is Gerald Boudou, Duquesne University. So he and I usually do the work of the forum here in the context of the US. This one is a wonderful thinker from India, Gochurani Abraham is a feminist, very clear-minded, committed also. So, and this one is Albertine Chivilondi, a wonderful friend. She's from Cameroon, and she works with women's groups and human rights in Belgium. But she's from Cameroon. So all of them. Oh, and then María Clara, Fernando our friend, this one came from Brazil, here. This one. I forget his name, but he's also from Brazil. So all of them, Claudio, the secretary, and these two ladies are the translators. Translators from Canada, they translate English. Okay, one of them translates French, she translates the French, and she translates the English. So these two, they do that for free. They work for free because they are committed. That's the service they are providing to the forum. The General Secretary, they don't pay them for work of translation. So if you have people who can do that type of work, please let us know. We need you. Translators, languages, we need you. These two, they do the work. So for free, it's wonderful, wonderful. So thank you, Maria Clara. You are so right. Enrico and Claudio. Of course, Claudio is the person who does all the dirty work. He works a lot, a great deal. Yes, Marileda, Luisa Tomita, Sao Paulo. She's the General Secretary of the Ecumenical Association of Third World Theologians. Luisa, this one here. And Gochurani from India, highly committed to that. So as you can see, the group, we exchange, we get together. A friend from Cameroon, Albertine Chivilondi, here is Tamayo, Juan José Tamayo Acosta, and she's Margarita Pintos. This was Margarita. Sí, y Enrico. This is we are going to the university here, and the entrance to the forum is right here. What I did not explain to you on this picture is that prior to the social forum, there is the Women's Forum for Dignity and Human Rights. So the opening of the World Social Forum is the Women's Forum. So you can see at the Women's Forum, it's a huge auditorium. I was, barely, finding a place around here, but behind this, I was so surprised. Behind this, you know what this banner says? No more deaths. The femicide, the killing of young women in Juarez and El Paso, Texas. No more femicide. We want the bodies of our dead ones. Mexican people in Tunis fighting for women, the young women who are being killed, the feminicide of Juarez, they were here, my Mexican sisters. So it was a very powerful. So women are there, and I wish that you could see Arab women speaking about the human rights of women. And one of the most powerful experiences I had was this woman. She's a woman peacemaker from El Salvador. She's one of the most radical workers in El Salvador. She worked with Monsignor Romero, so committed. She's a woman peacemaker. She came to the USD program Women Peacemakers, and she's highly committed, protect women's rights. So he was, what are you doing here? Look at that. She said, so we meet at the most unlikely places. Here at the end, this is Laila, the person that I was telling you about, highly supportive of the World Forum, and now she's running for parliament. This woman, Laila Ayari, Muslim woman. Tunisia is 98% Muslim. Yeah. This woman here, Berebere. There is a minority population of Bereberes in Tunisia. She's one of them. And she's so committed and so strong to work for justice and democracy. It's a motto. It's a really a motto. Her name is Arby. So, again.
I have one question. Can you see why I said that Pilar has passion?
Oh.
How about a round of applause?